Bonjour, bonjour, hello, hello. This is the final sheet of Sennelier L'Aquarelle swatching, swatching from the 100 tube set that I have been fortunate enough and thankful enough for, that I got from Jim. And I'm swatching all the colors for you to see. This is the one but last video from this series, because when I finished all these, I will do a 5th video showing you the results when all these swatches have dried up. So first I'm zooming in a little bit. And okay, so let's swatch this final sheet. French ochre, and I already loved it straight from the tube because it seems so vibrant and so golden. There is a quinacridone gold, but this really looks like a quinacridone color that I know from the core set. Although I can't tell you by heart which color that is, but it was one of my favorites, and I'm really glad to see this color in this set by Sennelier, because it's a color I think I'm going to use a lot in my work. Italian yellow ochre. There are a great many ochres, by the way, and a friend of mine who went to the south of France a couple of years ago, she brought me this ochre du Vaucluse, which are little pots filled with pigments that you can mix with gum arabic into your own watercolor paints. So I intend to do that and show you, of course, in the video how it works. I actually have a whole lot of pigments waiting to do something with. So, and of course I will show you my baby steps on the road of pigment discovery. Yellow ochre 252, I think is a pretty standard color that, you know, it's just yellow ochre the way we know it. What I love about this, and now you can see it when they're all together, is that there are so many earth tones to choose from when you're moving towards the ochres. This is a greenish kind of ochre, there is a golden kind of ochre, and here is, you know, the first real earth tone, like a toffee kind of ochre. Now we're moving on to gold ochre. A little bit harder to pick up. It's a little more transparent than the other colors. I like it because it's still warm. Now we're moving on to quinacridone gold, and that is a color, oh, I like it, because you can mix them so well into very, very warm tones of anything, basically. And there's they are very intense in color, so there's way too much paint on my paper. I like it. It's beautifully warm. Moving on to burnt sienna. This is a color I sometimes use in hair and trees and freckles, because I like the redness of it. And it's a very straightforward color. doesn't seem too gooey. It's not much difference between this color and that of another brand, I think. Permanent Alizarin Crimson Deep. I'm very curious about this because the alizarin crimsons, oh, and I like it. This is heading towards a quinacridone color that I have seen a swatch of, and I love it. Trying to lift all the paint. You know, these dots of paint, they dry up differently on when you apply this paint in a metal box, in a metal case, in pans. It will be a lot easier to pick up with your wet brush again. But because the paper absorbs a lot of the moist in the paint, it's harder to lift. So it takes me a little bit of work to lift the paint, but the Sennelier paints lift really easily from the pans. Oh, this is a name I wanted to say something about. This is called kaput mortum. Kaput means broken, and mortum has something to do with death. So this is like, well, something broke and died. That's the first thing I thought of when I read the name of this paint, kaput mortum. And I know it's, I know that's definitely not the meaning of this paint, of the name of this paint. But you know, there's sometimes you just have these associations in your head, and that's what it made me think of. And now there is another step I don't get in the making of this color chart. They come up with Payne's grey here. Why? I mean, I'm swatching browns and in the color chart, and they don't only do it in the box, but they even do it in the booklet here. I mean, I've followed the order of the booklet. They come up with Payne's grey, sorry, and then they move back to earth tones. I have no idea why. I mean, sometimes you see Payne's grey behind the blues, and in some brands it really, this too, I don't know if you can see that, guys, but I'll try to make a nice and even flow for you. But this is really also a bluish kind of dark intense grey. You could move from indigo to Payne's grey when shading night colours for a night sky. I don't get what it's doing here among the earth tones. Now we have neutral tint. Well, neutral tint is another name for a kind of black, although pigment purists are now going to scream, no, that's not true. You know, in my vocabulary of the experience-based user, I often use the neutral tint as a sort of black. I use black very, very sparingly in my work, if at all. And I prefer the neutral tints when I do. And I love that it's got this sort of, very often it's got sort of a red undertone. Okay. Now we're moving on to Van Dyke Brown. And what I noticed about this Van Dyke Brown is that it's much lighter and a little more heading towards a maroon color than the other Van Dyke Browns that I own, which are much darker. This really is a maroon color. There's a lot of red in this. And it lacks the darkness that I'm used to. Great flow, by the way. Okay, now we're moving on to warm sepia, and I love sepia. It's again one of the standard colors in my set. I use it a lot. Shading color, I use it to mix colors, to tone down when I need a darker color. I love it. What I'm curious about though is that the last color in this set is raw sepia. That makes me wonder. Raw sepia, it makes me think of squids. Makes it kind of sad, although many colors are derived from animal products, so if you think about that, it would get a really sad business painting. I tried plant-based paints once by Stockmart, and I can review it because I still have the set, and I like it, but still it didn't really meet all my needs, and certainly not for commissions or more serious artwork. It was good to work with, great to work with even. Okay, raw umber, 205, beautiful color by the way, very neutral, a bit grayish, and a color that I also like to have in my collection. The Van Dyke Brown by Sennelier, I don't know about. I mean, there's a hair came up. I don't think I would replace it, although, you know, I have to see how it dries up. But to me, the Van Dyke Browns are, you know, just really, really dark brown, normally. Raw Sienna, which is much like ochre, but less yellow, and sometimes a bit more transparent. Sometimes, maybe always. I use it when I paint landscapes and sometimes for mixing. I use it to mix skin tones with as well, by the way, raw sienna. Well, because when you want to have a Caucasian skin, you don't want to go orange. So when you don't want to go orange, I tend to prefer raw sienna over ochres to mix with, to keep to get to approach a natural tint. Burnt umber. Oh, that's looks like melted milk chocolate. I'm hungry, I haven't had breakfast yet, so I'm beginning to think about food now. And I'm absolutely crazy about licorice, so we're getting to the blacks now, so it's time I should get myself some breakfast. Not by having licorice, by the way, but... Okay, burnt umber. Beautifully brown color. By the way, the warm sepia that I have here is very much like Van Dyke browns that I have by other brands. So really nice to try out a full color set. Transparent brown. I love this. This is absolutely gorgeous. I can already see myself using this on the bark of trees. Great. Okay, now we're moving on to two colors that and actually there is another, but a little while back we had, in the previous video, we had the emerald green, and I think that color would suit this warm gray perfectly for modern illustrations that you see in magazines a lot these days, for minimalist stylized illustrations. It's the first thing that came up. This is an opaque paint and I love it. And you could ask, why would you need to buy it? You don't. You can also mix it. But if you need to paint larger areas, then you will soon find that buying yourself a tube of paint can actually be a really great idea. The same thing that I said about the minimalist illustrations, I can say about the warm grey and about the Sennelier grey that I also love. It's a little more greenish, a little more bluish, and I think it's a great colour. Then greenish umber. That would be a lot like the Perylene green by Schminky, I think. Oops, I touched the... There's not much flow going on there, and that's because raw sienna is not a very dominant pigment. It doesn't easily flow into other pigments as much as some yellows and reds will do. That will take over any other pigment the moment they touch them. I like this greenish umber though. I like it very much. I think it's a lot like the Perylene green. Haha. Light grey, number 707, and it's got a hint of lilac in it, I think. It's a bluish, it's a cool bluish grey. I like it very much. Beautiful colour. Okay, we're almost there. 3 to go, and then you made it. Lamp black. Lamp black, and with lamp they mean the soot from the I think the oil lamps from olden times that they used to make this paint with, initially of course. And then there is ivory black, and and that was created by burning ivory, if I remember correctly. Oops, I touched a swatch on top, so now these colours will start to flow. Okay, last colour, one that I've been very curious about, is the raw sepia 443. It makes me wonder, raw sepia, is this ink? Is this the real ink from the squid? Or is this the burnt shell? You know, these things I can look into. That would be interesting. I'm also interested about the colour. It seems like black with a green-brown undertone. Okay, so zooming out again. Okay, showing you just a little more the entire chart with all the colors in this in the earth tones. I'm going to let these charts dry, and I'll come back with a little review about the colors in a minute. See you then.